Hello, Julie. Hello, Rachel. Hello, Joe.
All righty, we are now live.
Yay!
And it's just in time. So I'm going to start us 1 minute early. So hello and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for our NAMI Walks Creativity Connects meeting Mindfulness with Kathy Sullivan from Ashes to Art. My name is Danielle Fletcher. I am the Communications and Outreach Coordinator for NAMI Maryland and this year's NAMI Walks Manager. If you have any questions or tech issues, don't hesitate to message us in the chat so we can troubleshoot for you. Special thanks to our NAMI Walks national sponsors, Talkita Lundbeck, Humana, and Alchemies, and our local gold sponsors, Neurocrene Biosciences, Whiting Turner Contracting, Otsuka, the University of Maryland Medical System, and Optum Maryland. And now without further ado, Kathy, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Sullivan. We are having a little bit of some glitches, so I apologize. I'm going to be asking my amazing friend and intern Bethany to be doing the slides. I'm out of my home, so that we had a little glitch with the slides, so just bear with us. But you can put the first one, Bethany, just if you want to go ahead and I'm going to introduce you to wellness tools. And I want to go ahead and talk about the experiential and sensory methods for mindful fitness. The next slide is, I'm going to give you a little bit about my story, which is, as you can see here, this was done at an art show with, I've got 6 first responders there, and this was at the beginning. My story personally is I had to go through my own journey, as we all do, right? So my journey way back when, like 30 years ago, maybe, included 2 kind of bouts of PTSD and a lot of stuff. Also, when I was I entered a master's program to get my master's in art therapy. And when I did that, one of the requirements was to be with a therapist, and that therapist did all the cutting edge techniques, and which I've learned and became obsessed with, which we'll talk about some of them. So what happened was I was an art therapist for a bit, and then I became a professional artist by the luck of the draw, and kind of put that on the back burner. But then what I would do is go ahead and if there was a new technique, I was always interested in learning more, learning it for myself so I could use it with friends, family, etc. So one day I was on a plane with next to some first responders who talked about how horrible the PTSD was in the fire department. And I said, oh, well, there are these great techniques, do you know EMDR? Do you know something called PEAT? And they said, no. And I said, I'll go give some time over to Fairfax County, which is in Virginia. I'll go give some time over to Fairfax County and teach them how to teach their responders how to do this thing called PEAT. And I was thinking, okay, I'd walk in, show them, and leave. Well, the man here in the middle is Captain Buck Best, and he is the co-founder of this program. And he was there, and he looked at me and said, my peer support can't do that, but I want to hire you as an artist. So it's now 4 years, and I have been working with first responders, trying to figure out how is the best way and what kind of techniques can we give them to go ahead and process their cumulative stress without activating them. And so what today is, I'm going to go ahead and be introducing some of these techniques. And so that's why I'm here right now, is to go ahead and teach our big thing was introducing the creative arts, but it's really gone on to other techniques that are more body-based and psychosensory. So we can do the next slide. Okay. We already have the tools we need. And I love the yoga pose right there, because really, if we wanted to work out our minds and body, we've already got that in us. We have the tools all right here. So what I'm going to be doing is showing that one thing that we do is, why is it that you have to condition for a marathon? You can't just go run into a marathon and blindly without training. So our whole thing is we need to condition our bodies. It needs to be like brushing our teeth and part of our life. And it doesn't need, your goals don't need to be wild, but try to incorporate some of these techniques for a better, another reason we want to do this. It will, if there is acute stress and you have been conditioning periodically or even consistently, the acute stress is going to be much more manageable because you've got what's called muscle memory, and also you've got the neuroplasticity, which is in the brain and which is going to be helping you to learn new things. But all of this muscle memory is going to make it much easier and quicker to go ahead and process things that are that may be acute in the future. So next slide. Okay, the whole story. Everything, your mind and body are one. You can't have one thing hit your mind and have it not affect your body. So I'm going to go ahead and give a very, very quick, brief. I am not a neuroscientist and I don't play one on TV and I will never pretend to be one. But in learning these different techniques, I did have to learn the basics of what's going on in order to understand it. So psychoeducation is pretty important. So I want to go ahead and just give you a brief little tidbit about what's going on in your body. So in our brains, we have something called a little portion, a little kind of peanut kind of shaped thing. It's called the amygdala. And we call her Amy for short, just because Amy's really important. We really, really love Amy. Amy, the amygdala, is responsible for fight, flight, or freeze. So our senses go to the amygdala, but one of the senses, which is smell, which is our most primitive of senses, goes directly to the amygdala. The others go through the thalamus. So Amy gets this information from our senses and then fires up and decides whether, do we need to act? Do we need to chill out? What do we need to do? And so something that goes on with Amy, she has something called AMPA receptors on the neuron there, and they come out and they're like our warriors, and they come out and they get us ready to go ahead and fight whatever we need to fight, or whatever it may be. And we need to teach those AMPA receptors to just kind of calm down a bit. Things are okay, because sometimes they don't know how to come back in. So that being said, the two hemispheres of your brain are really important. The left hemisphere is responsible for the cognitive functions, language. It's more of the thinking brain. The right side of the brain is more of the emotional. It's the emotional side of the brain. It's imagination, abstract thinking. So trauma goes in on the right side of the brain. And if it goes in the right side of the brain, then it's really important to process things in a sensory way. And we'll talk about that in a bit. So brain waves, I'm going to go ahead and touch on this just a little. You've got gamma, beta, alpha, theta, and delta. Gamma is the quickest of the brain waves. And during trauma, it can go from 100 and up. So again, this isn't a bad thing. We need all these different elements of our body. So gamma, what we do want to get down is to the lower scale, which is theta and delta. And theta is responsible for creative arts, meditation, yoga. They'll get you into a theta state. Delta is similar to sleep. It's a brain wave that goes on with sleep. So we'll get to why delta is important. And there's a technique that actually gets you into delta. There are several, but I'm going to be dealing with one. So that's it for that slide. Take a deep breath. Oh my gosh, how many times are we, you hear that and you'll take a deep breath. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean? And why are people saying it? So we've got the nervous system is incredibly complex, but we've got the sympathetic nervous system that's always kind of on guard and checking out our surroundings. What we want to do is get into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for the relaxed state. So in order to do that, we need to, deep breathe, and I'll tell you why. There's a nerve called the vagus nerve that goes up through the nervous system, and it attaches to a gazillion of the organs that are necessary to, if the sympathetic nervous system is going on, those organs are affected. If we get the parasympathetic nervous system, and if we can get the vagus nerve to go ahead and stimulate the organs in a calm way, then this is where the deep breath comes into play. And that's why that's so important. So diaphragmatic breathing is the way to stimulate that vagus nerve. So the diaphragm, which is underneath your rib cage and your lungs, when you take a deep breath and get into diaphragmatic breathing, that will stimulate and hit the vagus nerve, which will then send it around to the rest of your system to say, you know, calm down, it's okay, and relax. So that's just a little tidbit of what's going on and what we need to be doing. Next slide. Okay, so I did talk about sensory. I do want to say these two things I think are important words that kind of get lost in our journeys. It's great to read about things online or in books or watch movie or, you know, films or whatever it may be about our mental wellness, but it's really important that we experience them. It's really important that we actually incorporate them into our lives. And again, why is that important? It's going to instill muscle memory, and it's also going to help us with neuroplasticity, which is important. And the senses, like I said, we've got those 5 senses that really need to be paid attention to. Again, if trauma is going in on the right side of the brain, we want our senses to be activated and bringing us out maybe of our mind, but into our body and promoting relaxation. So these are 2 words that I really think are important that we need to do. And what we're going to be doing, except for the creative arts part of this discussion, we are going to be doing some experiential stuff. So I'm going to urge everybody to, if you don't feel comfortable having your screen on, turn your screen off, but I'm going to urge you to experience these little techniques so that it can be instilled and so that you can have that, you know, maybe it feels good, maybe it doesn't, but you put these tools into your toolbox. Next slide. Okay, art. The name of our group is Ashes to Art, and art is amygdala regulating techniques. So as you know, what the amygdala is responsible for, we want to make sure that Amy is taken care of and regulated. And especially working with first responders, this was really important because there's so much trauma there and repetitive trauma that it's really important to how do you regulate the amygdala and still have it be safe to go out and do your next job and your next call. So the things that I've incorporated here are for supportive care. And this is not for acute care, and it's not for, this is really for balancing. It's for getting you back in, you know, centered. It's mindfulness, all the words that go with it. Want you to go ahead and have these tools in your toolbox. So art, we go ahead and we're calling them art. But these are the different 7 techniques that we can use to get the art techniques that will get us to home sweet home, which is homeostasis. And when you hear resiliency strengthening, and that is what I work with first responders, what resilience really is how do you get back to homeostasis? So it's really important to we need to know where our homeostasis is, right? And then so that we can be able to return back home. And so again, that's another argument for why we should be conditioning so that it will be quicker to go back and return to home sweet home. So the different things we'll be talking about, the creative arts, grounding techniques, grounding / breathing techniques, you'll see they kind of overlap. Basic PEAT, delta wave technique, which is also known as havening, combining these techniques. And I'll show you a sensory toolkit that we use with first responders. I don't know if you can see it, but this is a recommendation that I have. So we can go to creative arts, I think. The next slide, yeah. Oh, there, thanks. Okay, so creative arts, this is my wheelhouse. I had to learn my own journey. I think first of all, we were all born to create. It was in our makeup. We, you know, through mud pies, snowmen, sandcastles, writing on our parents' walls, which infuriated them. Creation is so important to us as a species. So somewhere around the age of 12, it's believed, our level of creativity starts to get hampered a little. And that is what they believe possibly is it's because of school. because you're entering adolescence, you're worried about other people, you have to do your art for a grade now. So my own journey was learning. I was never an artist, didn't know how to, but watching my clients create and have an aha moment, to me, the beauty was that just raw expression that came out. So beautiful. And so to me, it wasn't like I needed to paint and have it be pretty. I just needed to express myself and learn how to kind of appreciate that, you know, I did this. I don't care what anyone thinks. So that's kind of the methodology that I've taken with the responders, is getting them back in touch with that, like purely non-judgmental self on a nice, safe learning platform. Very safe. So underneath are a couple of the, and again, I'm going to point out creative arts. This is what's so cool about the creative arts. I mean, first of all, they're fun, but the creative arts stimulates theta wave. And so as opposed to yoga and meditation, which are brilliant, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it forever, the creative arts can actually be targeted toward issues we may be having, or stressors or trauma, and we can actually process through the creative arts, which makes it amazing. So expressive arts therapists are super out there if anyone's interested, but I even have some responders who have processed their work strictly through writing and gone through some really, really tough issues and did it through writing, and there was no emotional content left, which was, I mean, it's spectacular. So the power of even writing. So when we think of the creative arts, I'm saying everything. I'm saying landscaping, I'm saying woodworking, I'm saying oil painting, dance, music, do tons of music, listen to music, create music, cooking. That's a chore, and it's something, you know, and it's a need, but sometimes take a twist. And talking about mindful, go ahead and, you know, take your senses, make it into a mindful experience, put music on, slow down, listen to your music, be methodical in your cutting, taste the food, smell the food, get all your senses engaged. And that becomes, that decreases cumulative stress. So just quickly on the bottom, that's a mandala by one of my responders. I would highly recommend mandalas for anybody. It's a great containment exercise, and repetition is really important. Our bodies and minds love repetition, repetition, repetition. So that's a great, easy, fun thing to do as part of regulating, self-regulating. The one in the middle is by using magazines. We have these figures, and this is what the responders did. These amazing, I think they're beautiful. They're on my brick wall, but we're going to be putting them on a door from an auto wreck to kind of give it that juxtaposition. But it's so beautiful just with magazines. So we've got these all in our surroundings that we can really use. And then the last one, we do a gingerbread building contest for the first responders during Christmas time. And this is one of the ones that one of our firefighters did, and it's literally on fire. So that's, as you can see, it can process stuff. So I say go creative arts, they're amazing. Okay, so here we're on to grounding techniques, and these are going to be just little tips and tricks. They're, and I'm sure most of you have seen a lot of these or know about them. So bear with me because there are probably some people who don't know about them. So the first one is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding. Name 5 things and this would be used if you're highly anxious and you're kind of losing touch with your body, or you're on the verge of a panic attack. Name 5 things you see in your environment. Name 4 things you touch. Name 3 things you can hear. Name 2 things you can smell, and name 1 thing that you can taste. Now, how fitting is it that this kind of hits it home about how important sensory psychology and the senses are to us being mindful and grounding and dealing with our stress. This literally is your 5 senses, and this is to calm you and ground you, because sometimes your amygdala kind of hijacks things, and we need to get back into our bodies. So this is, as far as I'm concerned, perfect proof as to why the senses are so important to kind of acknowledge for our wellness. The balloon. Okay, the balloon is just a silly little trick. It's nothing, it's just a fun thing that if you're feeling anxious, just the idea of playing with a balloon, it's a distraction, and distractions are very important, but it's a distraction. And it loosens, you have to move your neck and body just to do this, which is again, getting you back into your body. Just a fun little trick. Bilateral squeeze ball, I've got one in our kit. It's our funny little guy. I think you guys can see it. So bilateral squeeze ball, you want to go from one hand to the other and squeeze it. And so again, the two hemispheres of the brain, we want some bilateral work, which is both sides of your body. So here I'm going back and forth. You can close your eyes and notice that you can still do this with your eyes closed, and try to experience this as you're doing it. What does it feel like to be squeezing? How is it that our bodies can go ahead and do this with our eyes closed? You can mess around with that. That's just a little trick. Autogenic training by Dr. Schultz. This is, again, great for anxiety. So this is where a little bit of the experiential part. Anyone who's willing to try this, I'm going to go ahead and I would love for you to, because again, this is about the experience, feel what it does, and take that in. So what I'm going to be doing is, everybody, if you guys can get a good, get into a nice seated position, close your eyes if you would like to. It would be best if you can. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, try to find a spot across the way and focus on that spot. But I'm going to go ahead and close my eyes. And so what we're going to be doing is close your eyes and go into your body. Kind of check in with your body. Where are you feeling stress? Is there anywhere that you're feeling stress? Is there anywhere that feels a little bit of pain? Just sit with your body for a bit. And then what I want you to do is we're going to go down to our feet, and I want you to start focusing on your feet. What do your feet feel like? Are they tired? Are they stressed? Is there any pain? And then I want you to go ahead and to yourself, you can say, we're going to repeat this 4 times. My feet are heavy. My feet are heavy. My feet are heavy. My feet are heavy. And I am completely calm. And notice your feet. And then go back to your feet with, my feet are warm. My feet are warm. My feet are warm. My feet are warm. And I am completely calm. And then you would move up to your calves. Check in with your calves. Is there tension there? Feel your calves. And let's go with, my calves are heavy. My calves are heavy. My calves are heavy. My calves are heavy. And I am completely calm. So that's just, take a deep breath. That's just a way to go ahead and go through the different parts of your body. Now, what has happened is they've had some great studies that show that your body actually, that your body actually will get warmer in those areas, and they've tested it. So again, that's getting out of our heads and going down into our body as we want to go ahead and get into a more relaxed state. So that's autogenic training. You can go ahead and Google that for more on that. But again, that's a great technique for grounding. Okay, so the next one, breathing grounding techniques. So this is both. It's not deep diaphragmatic breathing, but the 5-7-8 breathing technique by Dr. Wheel is just, there are different, this is a good relaxing technique. And to get you more in touch, what happens when you're having anxiety and an anxiety attack is your breathing gets shallower and shallower and shallower. So I think I said it's physically impossible to have a panic attack when you're deep breathing. If you're a deep breather, then the panic isn't going to come. So it's really important, again, to be conditioning ourselves to be breathing on a regular, not just in yoga class or not just throughout our day. We need to be really in touch with that. So if you lose that touch with your breathing, which happens to me frequently, a good way to get back into it is 5. You hold your breath, you breathe in for 5 counts, you hold for 7, and then you exhale for 8. So I'm going to do that for a bit. So if you guys would like to join me. So inhale for 5, hold for 7, exhale 8. Inhale 5, hold for 7, exhale for 8. So you can keep doing this in order to get your breathing back kind of regulated and not so much, not shallow. So, but one added benefit, I'm going to go ahead, and this is the same 5, 7, 8, but I don't know who did this, but if you put one hand behind your head and one on your chest, like you're kind of holding yourself, and add that to the 5, 7, 8 breathing technique. And so let's just do it one time. So breathe in for 5, hold for 7, and exhale for 8. So that's just an added something that you can add to it. And again, this is a great technique to go ahead and get you more into your body and outside of that anxiety. So that's just a little something. So we can go to the next one. Okay, so Pete, it's quite a name. It's Primordial Energy Activation and Transcendence. Zivorod Slavinsky did this in Serbia. And it hasn't gotten a lot of attention, but it can be used for trauma. There are lots of different levels to this. It's one of my favorites. I will show you what you can do for it will get you into the parasympathetic nervous system, but there's also an added element that I'm going to show you that you can process emotions while doing this. So there are 3 points. You've got, it will be going bilaterally, will be going either side. So it's inside your eyebrow, on the outside of your eye, and underneath. So you can do this without what I'm about to show you and just breathe deeply into your eyebrow point. And this is bladder, gallbladder, and stomach. So you can breathe deeply into this point and exhale, and breathe deeply into this point and exhale. And you can go through that. But what I'm going to show you, and again, we're going to experience this together, is go to your center point, well, in your sternum. This is going to be kind of your cleansing point. And when you go to your sternum, let's go ahead and just use the word stressed right now. And we'll put the word, even though, and I would want you to copy what I'm saying. So even though I feel stressed, I deeply and profoundly accept myself. My body, my personality, and the fact that I am stressed. And then I want you to close your eyes, and we're going to go up to one of the first points in the middle of your eye. And I want you to scan your body and where you're feeling stressed, and kind of feel that. Where is it? Where am I holding it? And then I want you to breathe as deeply as you can into that stress. And when you're ready, breathe as deeply as you can. And exhale. Other point. Other side, same point. I want you to scan your body. Where are you feeling that stress? And when you're ready, I want you to breathe as deeply as you can into that stress, and inhale and exhale. Outside, other side, I want you to scan your body. Breathe as deeply as you can into your stress. And when you're ready, go and breathe. And exhale. Other side. Focus on your stress. Breathe as deeply as you can, and inhale. And exhale. underneath. When you're ready, breathe as deeply as you can into your stress. And exhale. Other side. When you're ready, breathe as deeply as you can into your stress and inhale. And exhale. So I always feel like woozy after that. Anyways, I'm going quicker than normal just because we've got a lot to get into the presentation. You can do that without the statement on your chest, and you can just breathe. And that's actually what I do with the responders is I emit this, but you can process some emotions as well. So you can breathe. It can help you get back into sleeping. But this is a really deep, wonderful thing, and you can keep doing it and doing it and doing it. Another thing is if you're processing, say I'm processing stress and anger came up at this point, then you go back and say, even though I feel anger, I deeply and profoundly accept myself, my body, my personality, and the fact that I feel anger. And then you keep going there and breathe into your anger and keep breathing into your anger. And if it shifts, great. If not, keep doing it. So there's a lot to Pete. There are many different levels of this, but this is really a basic, easy one for supportive health. And if you need more information or you would want training on this, we're going to be offering training on Pete and havening. So you can reach out for that. But so that's a little snippet of Pete. And then delta wave technique. So a lot of you have probably heard about havening. I'm calling it delta wave technique for our first responders because the first responders I give them information and they tell me whether they like it or not. They tell me their needs, I research, learn, and they tell me this isn't going to fit for people. So they loved havening, but they didn't like the name. So, and especially with peer support who has to go around and teach people, they wanted it to be delta wave technique. So we already know the delta wave is the slowest of the brain waves and it occurs during sleep. There are other techniques that it also can get you into delta wave, but we're going to be doing delta wave right now, havening. Dr. Ron Rudin is the developer of this technique, and I think it's going to really be groundbreaking, especially with my first responders. It has been a big thumbs up. So what they have found is, I've given you a little bit of the neuroscience behind stuff, but what they have found, a study had shown where there are 3 places on your body that if touched were very sensitive, that were socially acceptable, but including your eyes going back and forth, but I am not going to be doing the eyes. I'm only going to be talking about the eyes can be very strong, just like EMDR, which I'm not touching on, but hands are one, the palms of your hands. So while I'm talking about this, feel the palms of your hands. And you can pretend you've got something there like a pearl and it needs to be held in, or you can do it like you're washing your hands, which we all know with all this COVID stuff. You can do it up and down. You can do it side to side, whatever feels good to you. This is your time. So doing your palms is one. The other one is doing your shoulders, and you do your shoulders downward to your elbows and up and downward, only with a downward movement, like you're giving yourself a hug. So this practice, you can interchange these, but also see which one feels good and resonates with you. The last one is your cheeks. So it's almost like you're washing your face and washing your face. The other thing you can do is incorporate your palms and do it, get your palms in there as well. So this is a really loving. I've had some of my responders say, I didn't realize why I'd go like this when I was stressed. And actually this is actually doing, it feels good. So what we want to do is palms, shoulders down to your elbows, like you're giving yourself a good hug. and cheeks. So I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey with this. It's going to be a tiny little bit, a taste of what havening or delta wave technique is. So again, I'm going to ask you to get in a comfortable place. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing that. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, choose a spot and keep your focus on that spot. And I want you to start messing around. First, kind of check in with your body. Where are you feeling tension? Is there any part of your body that's feeling stressed? And just focus in on it. Focus in on your breath. Nice breathing in and exhaling. And so while you're havening, I want you to start either your palms, whatever feels good to you, and start the havening touch. And keep havening, kind of get back in touch with your body. So an important thing for resiliency is gratitude. And so I wanted to go ahead and haven some gratitude. We can all find something to be grateful for. Can always be grateful for something. So I want you to think, what are some things that you're grateful for? Could it be your health? Could it be people, animals, things? And really get in touch with what you're grateful for. And when you're grateful, when you're feeling that great gratitude, feel it in your body. Where is it stored? Where is it going? What does that gratitude feel like? And maybe you can say, I'm grateful, or just say the word grateful, grateful, grateful. And feel it in your body. Take a nice breath into that gratitude in your body. Is there a color that goes with the gratitude? Scan all the beautiful colors in this world. Is there a color that resonates for you? And if there is, let that color go all throughout your body, that color of gratitude. And breathe in deeply into that wonderful color and gratitude. And exhale. Now I want you to go ahead and just repeat after me and listen to the intonation. I enjoy being grateful. 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 I enjoy. And for this last little bit, let's just say the word grateful 3 times. So grateful, grateful, grateful. And take a nice deep breath in and exhale. You can open your eyes. So I am personally grateful that all of you have shown up and are taking the time to learn techniques and hopefully incorporating techniques, whether for yourself or for others. So that is a little smidgen of delta wave. Delta wave can be used for, or havening. You can do event havening, and which deals with trauma and uses distractions, and is amazing. It is amazing. It is groundbreaking. So there's transpirational, there's outcome havening, there's hope havening. There's a lot that's going on with this. So again, we will be offering havening delta wave technique sessions and training for those who are interested. And I think I saw someone say, how do we contact, and I think it's in the chat that you, how to contact us. You can contact myself, and at the end, there's a slide that says how you can contact me. Okay, so havening, delta wave technique, I'm saying do it, check it out. It's amazing. You can do this anywhere. So next slide, Bethany. So one thing, Fido, or is it Felix? Why is it that we've got these dogs, we all have animals, or we don't have animals, but petting an animal is so therapeutic. I didn't know this, but it's because of the palms. So in petting your dog or your cat, you are actually stimulating your delta wave. So that you can even process with your animal. And while you're petting the animal, you can do grateful. You can say peace, peace, peace. You can do a lot with havening. But so I think this is a really interesting little tidbit. So Fido or Felix, they're both very important for our using our palms, which gets us into delta wave. Okay, so the last slide. We can add delta wave to anything. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding. We can do 5 things. If I need to regulate, name 5 things I see. I see a house. I see flowers. I see, whatever it may be, and keep doing, 4 things, 3 things, 2 things, 1 that we discussed earlier. So that's a great addition. Autogenic training, if you're focusing on your feet, I feel warm, my feet are warm, my feet are warm, my feet are warm. Slower, obviously, but you can add delta wave to that. And 5, 7, 8 breathing, you certainly can add inhale 5, hold 7, and exhale 8. So delta wave has a whole lot to that it brings to the table. Okay, so sensory toolkit. This is our mindful decon kit. I think you guys can probably see it. And I would recommend this for people. This has been a really cool idea of having a go-to kit when you need a stress reliever. So in here, we've got like we've got a cup that says, be here now, and meaning, breathe, be mindful, be in this moment. So senses, right? Whatever's in here, if it's cold, feel the cool. If it's warm, feel the heat. Taste it. There we got senses. One of our responders put in, she does essential oils. So smell is important, especially with first responders, when smells are part of we know that it also is very triggering. So arm yourself with some beautiful essential oils. We have a little journal that says, just get it out. And in it, we teach mandala drawing, and you can review that on Google, but these are great containment exercises. Write, grammar doesn't count. So just write, get it out of your body, get it out of your body. That's incredibly important. And that's what expression is about. We did this, the bilateral guy, he's fun. And then we had the colors for the drawing, and we've got gum because studies have shown not only is it as you have the taste, but it also shows that it's a stress reliever. A fabric in it. Go ahead and feel that. That's something that would be a nice touch sensation. We've got a balloon, which we talked about, the balloons just for fun. But personalize it, make it your own. Put pictures of your family in the what's important to you in this bag. Also, we recommend in the bag that you have a playlist of songs that are like grounding and soothing, or some that are fired up, if you need to get going, but also listening and doing all this is really important. And then you can do all that, and you can do all your other techniques that we just talked about. So I know I went quickly, but I've only got 2 more minutes left. And I would urge you to, when you're doing these examples, take your time. Really take your time and breathe in and check in with your body. So I think that's our last kit. I've got the last slide is this is the end, but here, here's to new beginnings. And so I hope you guys incorporate things, and I hope, I wish you all a lot of wonderful wellness, and I am grateful that you guys all showed up. So I think that's about it.
Thank you, Kathy. Charvette asked, where can you purchase a kit like the one you just described?
These are free to my responders. So I would recommend You can make one, or maybe that's something NAMI wants to do as a future project, have people make them or something like that. But so really what I did was I found cheap kind of toiletry kits, and then you just use that. And the other thing it serves is kind of as a transitional object. So you can bring it from home to, say you don't like traveling, you can bring it where you're traveling. And it's a great toolkit that you can have on, but find a wonderful little case that you like, make it your own, decorate it, go wild. This is yours. What
For
makes
sure,
you
because
feel good?
that personalization is probably what's going to work best for you anyway.
Right. If you don't like a scent that's in there, then that's not going to help you. So, but these really, what we're doing is planting seeds. So this is planting seeds, and I hope, it works with you guys, and, but make it your own, definitely.
Sean asked, do you have a fact sheet, brief, or any list of research evidence for any of the mentioned techniques that people can review?
I don't have it now, but I mean, I could get one together. Do you want me to get one and send it?
Yeah, that would be great. And that way we can follow up, even if it's just like a link to a couple articles that you talked about.
Oh, perfect.
Any other questions?
I want to comment and just say this was so amazing. Thank you so much, Kathy, for your gifts and sharing with us. When you mentioned the sensory kit, I'm also an educator in higher ed. I thought about, wow, the students could really get engaged and create their own at home. And I think about all the many mugs that we have. And so it's just to speak to the guest that was curious about how to get one. I think, when you tap into those five senses, we have so many opportunities around us to use our environment to put that together. So thank you so much. I'm excited.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to me.
We'll be definitely watching the replay.
For sure.
Thanks so much.
Any other questions or comments from anyone? All right, then. Thank you again to everybody who joined us today. Just to let you know, this event has been live streamed. Will be available on our NAMI Maryland Facebook page for anyone who had to pop in and out. Don't forget to join us for our NAMI Walks opening ceremonies and artist showcase live stream on Walk Day, May 22nd at 11 a.m. You could be one of 3 lucky participants to earn a shout out on Saturday, either by 1, registering as a team captain between now and Saturday, 2, be a team with the most team members by Saturday, May 22nd, or be the participant who raises the most between Monday, May 17th and midnight on Friday. However you decide to participate on the 22nd, be sure to share on social media and tag us at NAMI Maryland and use the hashtag #CreativityConnects and #NotAlone. Thank you again to Kathy for this wonderful presentation, and have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you.